Welcome back, everyday business leaders. I'm Melanie Ake, your host for today's show, coming to you from JP the Geek studio right here in Greenwood, Indiana. I am thrilled to have you with us today. You're going to meet Amanda Starr. She's the CEO, founder, and instructor for Arise Safety and CPR. She's been amazing working with me. We've partnered on lots of things. I want you to get out your journals because she's going to talk to you about some really serious things that you can do to prevent emergencies in your life. So let's get started. Remember that we're connecting and celebrating all these remarkable business leaders from our very own community. We're redefining the way we think and grow. Now remember to subscribe to our channel. Turn those notifications on so you never miss an episode. Are you ready to meet Amanda? Here we go. This is awesome.
It is. It really is. I'm excited to be here.
Gosh, we've done so many things outside of the studio together.
Yes.
And now here we go, talking about the things that are so important to you. And I know your story. I'm excited to share the things that have turned you from, just a person in the community to now an entrepreneur and a business owner because of your experience. So thank you for just sharing your story. And I'm excited to share your business today.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you.
you're here in Greenwood. You have an office over at the office suites.
Yeah. Our main office is located there in the Yeager office building. But we are all over central Indiana. So we have a really strong presence up in Anderson and Muncie. We work with a lot of the colleges and universities up there. As well as in Indianapolis and in Johnson County. So we're all over the place.
You're all over the place. And you've done a lot of work for me on the boards for the PTREA, for the teachers that were going back.
Yes,
and
they were wonderful.
They were so fun, aren't they?
They are. They were a blast.
But people forget, like if you're doing any kind of instruction and you are certified or you have a nonprofit, like you may need to get certified in CPR training.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of reasons to get certified. I always like the people that want to get certified because it is a community service. It's to be able to be trained and know what to do is just helpful to the community as a whole. Oftentimes we see, though, that people are getting certified because of work obligations, which is fine, too. They're still part of the community. Mm-hmm. But the teachers, they were a lot of fun. We had so much fun. And that's probably one of the biggest clientele that we have is because all teachers have to be certified. So we try to run special programs for them throughout the year to make it affordable for them. But we also see all kinds of different people from all walks of life. We work with a lot of nurses, a lot of nursing students. We love working with the colleges and universities. We did a really fun class last week with the University of Indianapolis, and they were all just voluntarily there. They didn't necessarily need to be, and those are some of the best classes we do because they get really engaged. They're there for that curiosity, and so a lot of the questions are really intense, and they get really involved with it, and so we just have a ball with them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's one of those things that you may never need it, but when you do, you want to know the right thing to do.
And you are so glad that you know. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Arise Safety, talk to me about the name of your company because you are the founder of this, and we're going to talk a little bit about why.
Arise, so the name of it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it does have a really special meaning to it. First of all, the colors are purple and red. The red is for the heart, even though the purple is the heart in the logo, but the purple represents recovery. So as you know, like I am a recovering addict and alcoholic. And so the name, it's kind of a twofold name. It's kind of like a joke from like Arise from the dead, CPR, haha.
Yeah.
But it also is a representation of a rising up from the bottom. Mm-hmm. I hit a rock bottom. It was a little over 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I got sober and worked a program, and when I was a few years sober, I started Arise Safety and CPR. It is kind of a fun story because, I struggled a lot trying to get sober, and I was one of those people that I would get sober for a little bit and relapse, and get sober for a little bit and relapse. And it was like I just couldn't find that purpose. I couldn't find that reason to stay. And then by some weird miracle, someone was like, do you want to be a CPR instructor? And I was like, well, what else do I have to lose? And I fell in love with it. And it's really crazy because as a CPR instructor, I'm in front of people all the time. I'm doing public speaking a lot, and I actually failed public speaking 4 times, like twice in high school and twice in college. So
wow.
For me to take a job in that, only being newly sober at that was insane, but it was definitely, I feel like, one of those God things. And it just led me down that path. And so I fell in love with it. I got to travel a lot, saw all of Indiana, and I got to meet so many amazing people. Like the stories that you hear from people, even my best friend, like I was a CPR instructor for about a year when she went into cardiac arrest and had and her heart stopped, and her coworkers performed CPR on her. And I remember going up to the hospital knowing the statistics, and I was terrified. And and that was one of those moments I couldn't walk into that hospital room. I just couldn't do it. But she survived because her coworkers knew CPR. And now she helps me run this business today.
So talk to us about the statistics, because that's really important for people to know.
Yeah, so statistically, if you have a heart attack, or not a heart attack, I'm sorry, but if you go into cardiac arrest, which is where your heart stops, your heart stops beating, you're not breathing, and you're unconscious. My mind was going blank for a second. I was like, okay. I say this all the time. But so when you go into cardiac arrest, then outside of a hospital, you have less than a 10% chance of surviving.
Wow.
And every minute that you don't perform CPR, that chance goes down. So there's a really small line of you want to start it immediately. And that's where a training becomes so important. And that's why we always try to get people in at least every 2 years, because, you don't use it, but you do still have to practice it every once in a while to keep up on those skills.
I know you came to Shortridge High School, where we have a girls program, and you trained them, and you were so gracious because they are the at-risk girls. They're it's hard for them to understand how they're going to apply this. But I think every single kid in school, like, that's the perfect time to get them involved and understand that they can make a difference.
Absolutely.
Right? Every single child can make a difference for their family, for somewhere they work. Anytime that they see this, like, those statistics are alarming.
Oh, yeah.
10%.
Absolutely, yeah. And kind of bringing up, like, kids, my son, he's 15 now. He was about 9 or 10 when I started teaching CPR, and he's always been my guinea pig. So he's always the person that sits through my first class, my practice class. And he knew CPR, and he knew the signs and symptoms of a lot of the first aid. And my mom had a stroke, and she had collapsed and went unconscious, and it was my son who found her and knew exactly what to do to help her and saved her life.
Wow.
So, yeah, I 100% believe that kids need to be certified.
So for people that have never gone through this class, talk to us about the steps. What do they need to know before they come?
We try to make it as easy as possible. Most of our classes that we do are blended, so meaning that there's an online course. So you do a huge portion of it online, and then you just come into what we call a community class, and that just means anybody can sign up for it. And we have at least one a week all over central Indiana. So one maybe in Anderson today, and then next week it'll be in Greenwood, and then we'll have some in Plainfield, and we just kind of travel around. But you just go to the website, you sign up, it sends you the information on how to access the online, you register for the online portion, and then you show up for the class and we get you trained. I feel like we do really well with if people have questions or concerns. There's myself, and then we have a couple other people that are available to answer phone calls. And so we have a really good customer service process to help with that. And we use HSI and AHA, so American Heart Association, for a lot of our community classes. So they're both very well-known certifications, both nationally recognized. And even those programs are very well, I want to say, tolerated, for people who may not be well experienced with technical things. We also do a lot for businesses and nonprofits. We can do customized training for people, and those are simply, if you're interested, you just give us a call. And I'm working on a few right now that have a lot of special requests, and we love customizing that for our clients. It's kind of, I guess for me, just a personal challenge, finding the right kind of training to make sure that the people that they want trained get the kind of training that they need. So
some of it could be scary, right? For people that are saying, I'm responsible, like if I'm a nurse and I say I'm retired and then I go out to a restaurant and somebody needs CPR, there's been so many questions. I know I've heard conversations for many years saying, oh my gosh, well, what if I don't save their life and I don't want to be sued and all this liability? And yet there are a lot of bystanders that say, I wish I could have done something.
Yes.
I didn't know enough and I wish I could have done something.
Yeah. Yeah. So as far as like nurses and licensed medical professionals, now that's a little different. But with, as far as the, my mind just went, like the bystander law, Good Samaritan law. That's what it's called. The Good Samaritan law had to come to me. But as far as the Good Samaritan law, everyone's protected. And of course, there are some guidelines. Like you have to act in good faith. You can't try to do things that you don't know how to do. Actual training, such as in our classes, would be the most training for most people that are not medical professionals. It's obviously, we're not just showing you a YouTube video. We're actually doing hands-on skills. So you're actually learning the skill and learning how to use it. And as long as you stay under the guidelines, you're protected. We work a lot with college students, and we do a lot of the Narcan training with them. And another thing we always try to point out with as far as the Good Samaritan law is that you always call 911, even if illegal activities are happening, because we want to encourage people to get that advanced medical help and not be afraid that they're going to get in trouble, but you're still protected in those kind of situations as well. So,
well, you really, if you're a witness to it, right, you can also do something.
Yes.
So making sure that everything is taken care of the way that it should be.
Yes.
Which is so important.
Yes. Yeah. And it's important to know too that even if, when you're performing CPR or something, especially when somebody's unconscious, there's not a whole lot you can do to make the situation worse for the person. And so doing something is better than doing nothing at all. And so in keeping that in mind and taking that fear away of just approaching the situation, sometimes that's the biggest hurdle. But once you get in there, for most people, that adrenaline takes over and then you don't realize what's going on until a few minutes after.
Don't you think that's what's happened to you? When you think about, okay, I didn't even pass my speech classes and now you're teaching people because you have something that you're passionate about. And that's part of it when you're going through school and people are saying, what do you want to do with your life? And there could be a lot of reasons why you don't know. And so not being able to do that and then be really proficient at it now to change and save lives, that's amazing.
Yeah. I've never thought about that, but I'm possibly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. I've seen you in action several times, so I know how important it is what you do, that it means so much to you to help change people and say, look, there are other options. And also, when you were talking about the statistics with the girls when I was in your class, and we were just saying, what can you do if your friend is in need, and what can you do if you're to be aware, right, of the situation around you. I think having the knowledge and knowing the statistics is the biggest thing, so that you can just perform when you need to.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Let's take a look at your website. Joe, if you could bring that up on Arise Safety and CPR. So we've got a couple of things to show you here. I just wanted you to walk us through your website. If people are going to register, they want to look at, like, how do they sign up? Where do they go to? Where can they get more education?
Okay. So that top button there where it says sign up for a class, if you click on that, that takes us to our community schedule. And so you can sign up through there. And right now we have a few classes going on. We actually have a free class coming up on Thursday. Oh. This is kind of a rare occurrence for us, kind of a unique situation, but we are offering a free Heart Saver class on Thursday. Mm-hmm. We've got 4 spots left as I checked this morning, so it's going quick. But we do offer our blended classes through HSI right there, and our AHA BLS classes, which are for healthcare providers, so nurses, your CNAs, home health, those type of things, And again, we don't offer a whole lot of options, but we do offer a lot of locations because we're trying to get as many people as possible. But again, all of our courses are meets all the OSHA requirements, and then also meets all the requirements for the Indiana Department of Education. So
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're here in Johnson County, and you're serving so many communities around us. So I want to encourage people, like, if they don't have access to it, or they have something that's coming up and training's required and they need to reach out to the right resource, you are a great person for them to reach out to.
Absolutely.
You're also on Facebook.
Yeah.
So, Joe, if you could take us to their Facebook page. So if you're looking on Facebook, you can look at Arise Safety and CPR. And we will grab that so you can see what that tab looks like. There you go. So if you're searching now on Facebook, you can click there. Also reach out to them, find out what's happening, where you can find them, events that they may be showing up to. Lots of things that Amanda is involved in, I will tell you. But I think hands-on is the biggest thing, right? You can talk about it, you could read about it, but when you're called upon to do it and save somebody's life, this is where you need to be confident that, hey, I've gotten the right training and I know the right steps to take.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that hands-on skills are key for responding in an actual emergency. Mm-hmm. And so we always encourage people to obviously do the skills.
Do the skills.
Yeah.
So as your business grows, I mean, you have really just taken off. I've seen you everywhere. You're doing so many things, speaking engagements. I think that's the thing too. If people are looking for you to come in and just educate their community, it's a great way to do that. Health fairs, golf outings, you're there just standing by, making sure that you are available. So talk to us about what your plans are. I know you're a woman-owned business. We were talking a little bit about that process, going through that. What does it look like for you, kind of next steps with these RFPs, and what do you hope to do to grow Arise Safety and CPR?
So we are woman-owned. We're woman-owned and operated. So proud of that. We are not certified yet. We're in the process of trying to get certified. Mm-hmm. It is a process, is what I'm learning. We have been in the process of doing this for a little bit over a year now. And I think once we get that, it's going to open up a lot of opportunities for us. We are looking to expand statewide. So we have put in a couple of government bids to expand us statewide, and so we're really excited about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. That will help you even, getting that statewide exposure and then maybe national exposure, right?
We are going to go statewide first, and then we'll talk about national.
Yeah.
I think when I started this business, I didn't expect to go statewide within the first 5 years, and here we are. But I think it's important too. I like the locale, like being local, and so my hope is to never become one of those companies that's too big to provide that quality customer service. Like that hometown, your neighbor type of quality service, and so we want to make sure that we stay on that track before we talk about going national. But maybe in the next 10 years. We'll consider that.
Well, did you ever think that you would own a business? Back when you were a teenager and kind of just going through life, did you ever say, hey, I might own a business someday?
I've always wanted to. I come from a lot of family that are business owners. My dad is a business owner. A lot of his nephews are, and so I've grown up around people owning businesses, and I always thought, especially when I was younger, that I could definitely do this, but I never knew what. And that was like the key question. And then, of course, there was a huge chunk of my life where, I wasn't getting much of anything done in my addiction. And when I was able to recover and the opportunity presented itself, I just was like, this is it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put all my eggs in this basket and we're going to see where this goes. And it's been an amazing ride. Mm-hmm. So some days I look at my computer and I'm like, who put me in charge of this? and I question my sanity, but most days I am really grateful to be where I'm at. And I couldn't imagine doing anything else with my life.
I think about when you talk about addiction, like that stopped you. And a lot of people might say, well, that was failure, right? That was kind of your lesson in failure to draw you back from something that you were probably purposed to do, but you had to learn something to kind of get over that.
Yeah.
That addiction part, can you talk a little bit more about how that just kind of got you off track?
Well, I mean, it took over my life. Mm-hmm. Like, there was a point when I was at my rock bottom. I was in a very, very dark place, and, I woke up every single day and I didn't want to wake up and start drinking. And yet before 8:00, I was that person that was sitting in front of the liquor store waiting for them to open, as much as I didn't want to. And I think that's some misconception that a lot of people have about people who live in addiction. Nobody wakes up wanting to be there. I fought it every single day, and it was just this really vicious cycle that I could not get out of. And it took a lot. It took a lot. It took a lot of help, and a lot of trying, and a lot of dark spaces. A lot of, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy, on anybody. But I will say that being in a place like that has given me a perception of the world that I don't think that I would have ever gotten if it never happened. I definitely see the world differently today than I did before my addiction. And I think I have a lot more grace towards other people, and I believe in spiritual things that I didn't believe could exist prior. And I do find it's really important, at least for me, to stay really close to the recovery community, because they are the ones that remind me of who I am and where I came from. So I do try to give a lot back to that community. And it is important. And I feel like it's important too to be honest about that. One of the first things that someone ever said to me when I opened up my business, I said, do you have any advice? And he said, tell your story. And I was like, well, I got one story. So. and I struggled for a long time about whether I should be honest about it.
Yeah.
And I find that most people are very receptive. And, because most people don't go through addiction, but we all go through something. And I think it shows a lot of power of second chances. And I'm alive today for a reason. And I believe that because there's so many times where I could have died and I'm not. And so now it's just kind of ironic. Now I just go teach people how to save lives. So,
but that's the purpose part, and so many people that I coach and teach and are around just talk about failure so much. It's like you could have taken that belief the rest of your life and said, I'm not worthy, I'm not valued, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who needs help. I can't help them. And you just change that story. You change that narrative. And that's what I love about your story is that you shine, you are thriving, you are pouring into people, and you really want to see them have purpose in their life too. To help them with a skill that not everybody maybe ever use.
Right.
Although when you need it, you must know how to do it the right way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so cool. I love having you here. I play a game with a lot of people on the show, and it's about a quote.
Okay.
It's about a quote. It's these cards that we receive. They're kind of thought philosophy quotes from just different world leaders. And so this one says, this is kind of fun. So think into this. If you could bring to life any fictional character from a book or movie, who would you choose?
That's a hard one.
It is a hard one. Do you have a favorite? Did you ever have someone that you maybe escaped with as a book or a movie character?
They weren't fictional though. I always loved the story of Helen Keller.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved that story because she had everything against her, and yet she thrived. And I think that it can be very relatable living in darkness, so to speak, and being able to still function in a world that does not revolve around that. I think is very inspiring. So it's not fictional, but that's
hope.
Yeah,
right.
That's a lot of hope.
That is hope, and it's what you can focus on. And I think for a lot of people that are even listening to this or may watch it later, it's that opportunity to say it doesn't have to be where it is today.
Right.
You can turn things around and look at you at 5 years later, just thriving in so much and adding value to our community, to the state, and probably to the world at some point because of just that idea that you are enough, that you can do it, that you can make impact, and you can build a community around you that also sees the same vision that you do.
Most definitely.
Yeah, that's so cool. Well, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming in and spending time with us because this is really special. I love what you do. I've had a lot of sick people around me in my life. My mom's a nurse. I get that it is so valuable to have these skills. And so I want to encourage you, if you're watching this, if you're following up online, if you haven't connected to Amanda Starr with Arise Safety and CPR, that you really need to go to the website, go to Facebook, and schedule a time, maybe for your group, maybe a family picnic. If you're having a family reunion, maybe you do a CPR class.
I've done that.
Yeah.
I've done really similar things to that. Yeah.
Like getting creative, because it really is, if we care enough, then we should be thinking about ourselves and our community to do great things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me today.
You're welcome. This is fun. So website, Facebook, anywhere else we can find you?
We are trying to make a presence on TikTok and LinkedIn and Instagram, of course. So.
Okay. All right. Well, and you're part of Aspire Johnson County and the whole Johnson County community. So if people live in Johnson County, you're definitely accessible to them. Absolutely. Really right here. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amanda.
Thank you.
Wasn't that fun? Don't you just love Amanda? So if you're in Johnson County, you need to go to her website or her Facebook page and book time with her right now, because she will change your life and help you feel safety in all the things that you do. So thank you for tuning in to Everyday Business Leaders and this episode. I know you were inspired to think and grow differently about your business and especially how to get her involved. Remember, the journey of growth and innovation, it never ends, and it's our mission to keep bringing you the best insights from our local community. So stay tuned for more episodes filled with wisdom, innovation, and inspiration. This is Melanie Ake signing off from JP the Geek Studio, where better IT service is just a call away. They say own it, secure it, and protect it. Until next time, don't forget, subscribe to our channel and turn those notifications on so you never miss an episode. Everyday Leaders helps you to develop strategies to be a better leader in your life. Because remember, it's not what you do in a day, it's what you do every day that makes the most impact. Thanks for following us.